Hello and welcome to our next video. In this lesson, we're going to write our very first program called Hello World. So as I'm writing my programs in Java, what I want to do is make sure that I'm storing my files and folders in a logical place. So the very first thing I'm going to do is browse to my C drive. Now if you don't want to use your C drive, that's fine. If you have a thumb drive, browse to your thumb drive, or if you have another drive you're going to save things on, go to the drive that makes sense to you. And then create a folder. We're going to just call it Java Projects. Now again, you can name your folder whatever makes sense to you, just so that you can find it very easily later and keep things organized. And inside of our folder with our projects, let's create a new project for our very first program called Hello World. So now I have my Hello World project all set up and ready to go. I'll be able to easily find it in the future should I need to modify it or redo it. So now I'm going to write my first program. What I want to do first is start out by creating a new text document, and I'm just going to call it Hello World, and I'll capitalize the H and the W. Now with that, we'll see that it goes ahead and it starts up in Notepad just fine, and that's because it's a text document. But what we want is a Java file, so I'm going to change it to say helloworld.java. However, what we know about this file is that it's actually a text document with a text extension. Unfortunately, right now I can't even see that, so it's important that I change that. Well, in Windows, if I need to see an extension and I can't see the specific extension, I want to go to Organize, Folder and Search Options, View, and then uncheck Hide Extensions for Known File Types. Hit Apply, OK, and now we can see that that text file is showing that it is actually a .text file. So here I'm going to take off the .text, and it'll ask if we want to do that. Of course we do. We know what we're doing, so let's go ahead and select Yes. And now when I try to double click on this file, it won't know how to open it. So it will suggest Notepad or WordPad or other programs if I have them installed. Now Notepad's about the worst program we can use to do Java programming, but I'm going to go ahead and do that for now anyway. And you can as well. Just make sure that we don't check always use the selected program to open this kind of file. We don't want to associate .java with Notepad. Now if you're going to continue to do manual programming and you're not going to use an IDE eventually, I would highly recommend finding another solution, such as Notepad++ or gedit or JEdit or Crimson Editor. Now those will give you, at minimum, some syntax highlighting so you can see your code as you write it with the Java extension having that nicely formatted, at least with the syntax being colored so you can more easily discern your code. Notepad won't do any of that for us, so let's go ahead and use it anyway. And now we've opened it with helloworld.java in Notepad. And so now we need to actually write our code. Now I know that you've never written a Java program before, most likely, and so you probably don't know anything about Java syntax, and that's okay. What I'm going to ask you to do is trust me, type along with me as I go, and sound out the words as we go. Just say them with me as you type them, and that way you'll start to get used to the structure of the program. So let's start off by making our class. It's going to be public class hello world. Now let's just make sure that the name of the class matches the name of the file. So we'll capitalize the H and the W again. And then we're going to use left and right curly braces. Now those are the keys next to the P key, and we hold Shift and use the left and right curly braces. And we'll just put 2 lines there, and we'll go in 4 spaces on this middle line. Now once I'm in 4 spaces, that's the standard indentation, and we wrap what's called a code block in these curly braces left and right. So we're starting our next code block for the Hello World class. And this is going to be done, and now we'll write our main method to execute the program. So this is public static void main, and then left paren, capital S string, and then we're going to use left and right brackets, and these are going to be the same keys that we use for the curly braces, just without the shift. So they're the square brackets. And then we need a variable named called args, then right paren. And now that we have our void main, we need another code block. So let's go in 4 spaces here, hit a left and right curly brace, go between the curly braces, hit enter twice, and then space in 4. So that's set up our second code block, which is going to be our main method, which exists inside the code block for Hello World. So we'll go 4 more spaces inside of here, or 8 spaces total. And we'll start our first statement. System.out.println left paren, quote, quote, right paren, semicolon. Now, what you'll note is a couple things. First of all of our statements in Java are going to end with a semicolon. All of our strings will be contained within quotes, and a lot of times we'll be containing things within parentheses, which we'll learn more about as we go. And you'll note that as I said this, I said system.out.println, even though this is only ln. So just note to yourself, as I say system.out.println, I'm actually println. And so we're just going to pronounce this as println, even though it doesn't have the full word. That's important to remember because you'll need to be able to reproduce this information on tests or as you continue to code. So if you're saying to yourself println and you're actually typing the full print line, you'll get a syntax error, and that's bad. But here what we're going to just say is hello world, I am programming in Java. And exclamation point, and we'll save the file, Control S to save or file save. And now that the file is saved, we have actually completed our first program, and hopefully there's no syntax errors in it. And we can go ahead and bring up command window. Now once I'm in the command window, what I'm going to want to do is actually browse to the folder that contains my project. So I'm just going to change directory here to my Hello World folder. And now I'm just going to say Javik hello world.java. Now that's going to run the compiler on that hello world.java that I just completed. And then I'm going to say Java hello world. Now note, as I say Java, of course I'm not using any extension anymore. So I'm just going to say hello world, I'm programming in Java. So we can see that it's working as expected. And that basically shows us that the code that we're writing is working, compiling, and running. So now that we've written our program and we've compiled it and made it work, let's go ahead and change it so that we can verify that everything we're doing is actually working as expected. So instead of saying, hello world, I am programming in Java, we'll just say, hello world, I am awesome. We'll save that, and we'll go ahead and run it down here by hitting Java hello world. But it still says, hello world, I'm programming in Java, but I changed it. What do you think is happening there? Right. So what I did was I changed the file, but I need to recompile it in order for the program to actually execute with the new code. So I want to run Javik hello world.java again. And then I'm going to run Java hello world. And now you can see the changes are effective. Hello world, I am awesome. Which wraps up our look at creating our first program. But one last thing I want to note. It's time to start extending and stretching yourself a little bit. So now that we've done that, why don't you change this to be something more useful for yourself on your own? Or in fact, start a whole new project, reproduce everything we did in this video, and create something other than just a simple hello world statement. Make a statement that prints out your name or your age or something relevant to you, just to get a little more practice. But again, that wraps up our look at creating our very first Hello World program. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.